do not do energy law, I do not do oil and gas law. I love the reading of all the laws because, yes, everything we do has all these agencies and all these laws. People are always stunned to see the web, and I knew when I wrote a footnote that was longer than a page because it was citing all the laws that apply to something that I would deserve tenure when I was in my previous institution. So yes, that's right. One of the things that I'm concerned about, however, is the statement tell us about the exemptions, because there is an exemption. There is an exemption under EPAC 2005, and I think that one of the things that's interesting to me, kind of observing this as an academic and not being in the fray, is I'm really interested in making sure that there's full disclosure. I study how environmental law policy is looked at by the media. And there's a wonderful debate that's happening right now in the Society of Environmental Journalists about real science and about things. So that's one of the things I just wanted to say. Am I right in saying that there was an exemption under the Safe Drinking Water Act, to the Drinking Water Act, to the Safe Drinking Water Act under the EPAC 2005? No. Okay, well then can you please, if I give you my email after, can you please exchange with me, because I find that to be very odd, because I'm kind of reading the statute. So I'm confused. You need to explain to me, law professor, what it states as an exemption under section 322 is not an exemption, and I'd be interested in hearing that. Because once again, this is not my area, but I do have a question. I know, I'm doing a little more. You're yelling at me before, but I study weapons law. I just got back from the honor of serving on the United States delegation to the Conference of the Parties on the International Weapons Treaty, where every 3 years, the 162 members of this treaty from all the countries around the world come together to talk about the importance of doing things to protect weapons. And I met with scientists from dozens of countries who are talking about energy issues and weapons. And what they were asking with respect to what the United States is doing on fracking is, why aren't you waiting? Why aren't you getting more science? We, the scientists, are saying, the scientists who are the pure academic scientists, not the scientists who are doing the other types of science. And let's be clear, I work for Hunter Williams, I represent development, I'm not against good development, but this is a new area, this is an area that I think that there needs to be more science, and there certainly also needs to be more study of how to regulate it. When I heard the EPA administrator there, I heard her say, we need to regulate it well. I think we need to study how to regulate it well. The environmental law professors are just scratching their heads trying to figure out how to get up with understanding how to recommend regulations on that. So when I'm talking to international experts in policy, law, and science who study weapons from around the world, who are looking at me representing the United States of America in a big meeting in Bucharest, and saying to me, why aren't you applying the precautionary principle? Why are you waiting a little bit? What is the rush? Why is it so urgent to not let this unfold? That's my question.
Well, it has been unfolding for over a century. And we have now drilled and fracked between 1 and 2 million wells. This is a well-developed industry with a very long history, so I'm not sure what you mean by something new. Hydrofracking is not new. Listen, I was one of the implementers of horizontal drilling and fracture stimulation. I think I know a little bit about it. It is not new. It's simply a combination of horizontal drilling, which we've been doing for decades, fracture stimulation, which we've been doing since the 1940s, and putting them together. It's actually a very much better process than it used to be, because in the past, we would have had to have drilled 32 vertical wells to make the equivalent of one horizontal well. 32 to 1. That's 32 pads, by the way, versus one pad. So we're now only 4 acres to be able to develop the area that 32 vertical wells would have done. And the massive hydraulic fracturing that was done on vertical wells. We used 1 million pounds of sand and 1 million gallons of water to try to jam that into a 100-foot perforation in a vertical well. Now what we're doing is just using 5 million gallons in a mile-long well bore much less distribution per square foot, much less stress on the wellbore, a much safer process with very little surface exposure. We are using less chemicals than we ever did in the past when we fracked those million wells. It's a much better, safer process. It is not new. We've already talked about it.
We'll send her the information. Huh?